Well, for the first time in our history, Oklahoma is home to more than 1 million people classified as minorities. The latest census numbers show Oklahoma's minority population has grown by 12% since the start of the decade, growth fueled by our skyrocketing Hispanic population. Within the last 7 years, we've seen a 38% increase in Hispanics in Oklahoma, roughly 5% a year. And nowhere is that influx more evident than in the Oklahoma Panhandle. We begin this week by looking at the changing face of Oklahoma.
It began a windy place, full of harsh weather, dust, and Oklahoma cowboys. But now, Guyman is dancing to the rhythm of a different cultural beat.
The people in this part of Oklahoma and this part of the country have been very resilient. They've adjusted to the Dust Bowl, they've adjusted to climatical changes, they've adjusted to the abundance of water and natural gas. And as things change, the farmers and people in this area have been able to adjust to that and prosper.
And become the largest growing community in the Panhandle, thanks to agriculture.
Money to support all the other car and truck dealerships and restaurants and bars and filling stations really comes from agricultural production. It comes from farmers, ranchers, cattle feeders, and pig farmers.
Paul Hitch is president of Hitch Enterprises and employs more than 300 people with 2 feedlots, 1 pork production, and a farm. His son Jason is vice president of the business.
The city is as dependent on us as we are on it. The local stores here in Guyman have started catering to the increasing Hispanic population.
A population that makes up 40% of the workforce at just one of Hitch's cattle feedlots and over 80% at their pork production plant. Seaboard Farms is another pork-producing plant that's bringing jobs and Hispanic workers to Guyman. Jeff Wallace is with the Oklahoma Census Data Center.
Quick economic turnaround happens like what happened in Guyman. Workers come first, and then they bring their families at a later date. And so that's what brings the stability to an area that will also then increase the birth rate.
Something former Mayor Jess Nelson witnessed during his 28 years of service to Guyman.
We've had a large influx of Hispanic people in Guyman. And instead of that being a problem, I think we've worked to make that an asset.
Hello, how are you?
Mike Parkhurst is the assistant superintendent of Guyman Schools and has witnessed firsthand a great change in culture.
Our Hispanic population here at the school has changed from 18% when I first came here 12 years ago to now 56% of our student body. So there's been an awful lot of change. Some very positive things have occurred in that change. I estimate that we have around 70 to 90 teachers in our system that would not be here without the growth we've had over the last 12 years.
With such rapid Hispanic growth here and throughout the country comes the debatable issue of our nation's official language. Fred Ramos is with Oklahoma's Hispanic Chamber.
As you start seeing the second generation move through the system, there's some second generation Hispanic high school kids that do not speak Spanish. So this whole language issue is getting blown out of proportion. It's only big because there's so many first generation Hispanics. But in the next 20 years, you're going to start to see the second generation Hispanics move through the system.
Language and growing Latino populations are just beneath the surface of an even bigger political topic, that of illegal immigration, leading state lawmakers to pass what is being called the toughest anti-immigration legislation in the country.
Truth of the matter is, there is not an available pool of labor to replace the immigrant worker in Oklahoma.
Despite objections, the bill passed.
I declare the same to have passed.
Under the bill, illegal immigrants will no longer have access to taxpayer-funded services, except in cases such as medical emergency or a natural disaster. And employers will now be required to screen their applicants or face criminal penalties. The legislation also includes language that mirrors federal law on transporting or hiding illegal immigrants, giving state law enforcement the authority to take action in such cases.
We all are people of law, and I understand what the bill is about. But at the end of the day, you know, how's this going to really impact the housing industry, the hotel and restaurant
business, the agriculture business, and I think it's going to have a negative effect on it.
But in the meantime, growing minority populations within our state continue to thrive, changing the face and the culture of Oklahoma.
Now, while Hispanics are our fastest growing minority population, they're not our largest. American Indians are first at over 380,000, followed by African Americans at just over 300,000, and Hispanics now rank third at close to 250,000.